gentlemen, hey, congratulations for your film, The Long Game.
Thank you
so much, man.
Thank you.
And this is also being showcased pretty soon at where? At South by Southwest. So this is terrific for you guys.
Yeah, we're all excited.
Yeah, it's amazing. It's screening premieres on Sunday at South by.
Wow, that is very exciting. So let me start with you, Julio. Is where the idea came across for you to adapt the book Miracle Mustang into The Long Game?
Well, it was brought to me by producer Javier Chapa, who also brought me my last true story that we did together, and we did with Miguel also. And yeah, it just seemed like, based on what we had learned and the things we had accomplished with Blue Miracle, this seemed like it could be another fruitful collaboration, re-teaming up again with Dennis Quaid. So yeah, when I read the script that they had adapted from the book, and then I read the book itself, it just seemed like a story that we just had to tell.
Most excellent. Miguel, Gregory, Christian, obviously you've probably seen Blue Miracle, and that's a fascinating true story. But what drew you guys into this story for The Long Game? Who wants to start?
I'll go ahead. I think for me personally, when I got the script and I read it, it was just so amazing to me how I never really looked at golf as something that was obtainable to me, mostly because it, back then and thankfully now we're starting to see more diversity, but golf seems so elitist. And just really the way that the script made it, I think, really universal, not only the sport itself, but also the themes behind the film. And, it's taking place in the 50s. So there is racism and prejudice. And of course, those things are still very much around today. But I think the film itself made it very easily digestible.
Miguel, Christian?
For me, I got the audition. I think it was around midnight, and I just saw them the breakdown that it said 1950s. I didn't know what it was about, and I think I took like an hour, and I taped it, submitted it, and then I started reading more into it, and I was like, oh wow, I can't believe not many people know about this story. Not many people know about these guys. They went through so much and did so much in such a popular sport. So after the process started about getting this gig, I was just very excited to be able to tell the story, and people finding out about the Mustangs from Del Rio.
And how about you, Miguel?
Yeah, I mean, I've worked with Julio before, so getting another opportunity to work with him, I was obviously really excited when I got the script, and I'm a big sports fan, not particularly about golf, but getting involved with this world and finding out that this was a true story is just so amazing, that these guys did this in the 50s, and the fact that we had no clue about it was even more surprising. So once I got the script and learned about what they went through and what they accomplished, I was on board.
Most excellent. Julio, I've seen the Blue Miracle, and The Long Game, is terrific as well. But how did you want to approach this, telling these type of stories without just being repetitive?
Well, I guess for me, it's like the sport is sort of secondary in these films for me. I try to approach them as a kind of character-driven stories if I can, and then the themes kind of come organically out of the sport. So in some ways, like for example, Blue Miracle was about fishing and these young guys in a fishing tournament. So that you can't have, by the nature of the sport, you can't have like the training montage of them getting better. And by its very nature, fishing is sort of like there's luck. So then the movie sort of ends up becoming thematically about faith and will things work out for us in the end or whatever. Whereas golf, the themes of golf are about exclusivity, etiquette, like personal restraint, like can you control your own mind? When you get mad, whenever you hit into a bunker. So then it becomes more the thematically different. It just becomes a totally different movie. So even though they're similar in genre, admit they're in a lot of ways the same genre, the actual subject matter ends up kind of organically turning it into a different movie. Yeah, if you're open to it.
That is true. Miguel, Gregory, Christian, How was your golf game before this film, and how was it after?
Terrible before. And we, they got us some great coaches, golf coaches, and I think we learned pretty fast, and we were able to hit the ball pretty well after that. As for me, I'm still not good at golf at all.
Yeah,
Yeah, I agree with Christian.
yeah, like Christian said, we had some really great coaches. I mean, I come from a baseball background, and the swings are really similar there, so it was a bit easier for me to pick up. And I think for a lot of us, Julio said, we can make it look better in post, but a lot of us wanted to get it right that first time. We wanted to get it looking good when we actually could. So we put a lot of time and dedication. As for after, it's been a while since I played, but I mean, I could probably, I don't know, maybe.
Yeah, just to bounce off what they said. I mean, they provided us with great coaches, and Dennis Quaid is a very avid golfer as well. And, he was not shy about giving us pointers and tips. And we got better. I mean, you eventually get better when you keep doing it. So that's the funny thing about golf. One day you have a terrible game, and the next time, for some reason, everything is going well. So.
Well, we were also the nature of the story is that these young guys who taught themselves how to golf, and so they have unorthodox swings and styles that aren't as polished, and so it actually kind of added to the story the fact that these guys were also learning to some degree, like on camera. It added to sort of the realism of them being underdogs, against all these guys with perfect swings that we cast on the other competing teams.
So that begs the question. Was it easier to act like you had a good swing, or was it easier to act like you had a bad swing?
I think both are pretty
Easier to
difficult. I think they're both pretty difficult. Because there were days that we were hitting so well, and then the camera turned on, and you just couldn't find the ball anymore. So yeah, I think it's a little bit of both.
I think it was a lot easier to just, when the camera was just on your face and you had to do like oh man, I missed that one. It's just like that wasn't too hard, because a lot of the time you did miss that one.
For shits and giggles, Miguel, how's your fishing game after all these years?
Oh, I can go catch a marlin right now.
I guess fishing and golfing does never come to me.
Yeah, Julio and I have a boating trip pretty soon planned, and we're gonna go catch some marlin.
Julio, could you tell us about the location that you actually filmed for this? Because I understand it wasn't filmed in Texas, and tell us about the makeshift golf course in this case.
Well, so what we did was actually, so it was half and half. So we shot all the neighborhoods and all the streets and all that. A lot of our exteriors we did shoot here in Texas. We shot in Smithville and Bastrop, and that kind of anchored us and provided a realism within Texas. And then we went to Colombia for golf courses. Golf course design is pretty standardized internationally at this point, so we were able to go to Colombia and shoot on golf courses there for a lot of the tournament scenes. And so it was easier, that helped us get 100 extras that we couldn't afford here and things like that. And so the challenge was blending them, because it was freezing and overcast in Colombia, and then it's hot and sunny in Texas. And then, so those challenges, like I'd make these guys dress in clothes for warm weather in Colombia, because I knew they'd have to wear the same clothes here in Texas. So they're pretending to not be cold over there, and so they can, intercut with the stuff over here. So there were challenges, but in the end, I think it was pretty successful. The merger of the two. I don't think most people will feel it.
Wow. So the rest of you guys had a lot of fun both in Colombia and in Texas playing golf. Then what was the most difficult thing? Just playing in the rain? I don't
weather.
That was real rain.
No, it's the weather. I always expected, I don't know, that Colombia would be warm. It was cloudy and cold, man, and we had to shoot scenes with rain and change shirts while it's very cold and still wet. And yeah, that was the difficult part for me.
Now, did you guys even had a chance to meet the your real life selves at one point or another? I'm not even sure. Maybe Julio met everybody or did not.
The only real person that we met was Greg's character. He came to set and they got to interact with him.
Yeah, I played Gene Vasquez, who I very fortunately was able to actually meet. And I mean, it was amazing, really, because not only was he able to confirm things that I thought I know, but he was able to tell me more that I didn't know, and I was really able to take all of that at the end of the day and mesh it in with the character that I was already beginning to build. And
yeah, I had an experience. It's funny because I had I was told the producers connected me with some guy in Houston who had 8mm footage that we put at the end of the movie. And I call and I'm talking to him and I was like, he's an old guy. And I was like, so do you know, like, if this is, so the footage you have, is that of all the boys or he goes, yeah, we're all in it. And I was like, wait, you're the Felipe? You're Felipe from like the original team? He's like, yeah, it's me, it's Felipe. So it's a weird thing. This is my second true story. And it's a weird thing whenever you're dealing with real people. And sometimes you forget, like, no, these are true stories. And these guys you're going to have to sit in the audience and watch it with them and answer some questions later. So
now, as actors, because you're portraying people who are, in history, and not only that they are still alive today, and they will be watching this film. Does that increase any pressure on you to get it right, or you still look at it as just still like acting somewhat fictionally?
I think we trust our writers and directors to guide us in the right direction to portray. That's my take on it. I don't know.
Yeah, I think being able to once again actually have Gene come to set and see everything unfold. He told me that he really much did feel like he went back in time and he was back where it all went down. So to have little words of affirmation like that from someone that was actually involved in it throughout the actual filming process, I think, because he didn't only talk to me, he talked to all of us. I think that could have made all of us definitely a lot more confident in what we were doing.
Yeah, obviously the pressure of playing somebody that is real, and do you look like them, do you speak like them, all that kind of stuff. But our job as actors is to use the resources that are available to the best of our abilities, and really the story is what's the most important. What they did together is incredibly important, and we had a good resource in Humberto Garcia's book Mustang Miracle. And that was a great starting point for us to really step into these characters and to these people.
So all of you picked up the book then to actually read?
Oh yeah, for sure.
Yes.
It's a very easy read. It reads really fast.
Yeah.
Most excellent. And hey, thank you for joining us late in the conversation. But I mean, we had a wonderful conversation, but I'll throw you in the conglomeration of what we just talked about. What was it like to portray a real person, and how's your golf game?
Well, it's always intimidating to portray a real person because you don't know how accurate to his mannerisms and behavior the director wants him to be. It seems on this particular project, it wasn't too big of an issue. You could give your interpretation of what this person must have been like. And as far as the golf game, I mean, every time I see Rory McIlroy, swing his club, I always, in my mind, assume I swing as good as he does, but it's probably terrible. Like I shoot, I don't know what my handicap is, but it's definitely over 10 for sure, 10 to 20 handicap.
So I'm curious, out of all of you folks here, who's the best golfer, really?
Julie, here, me, without a question. There's no debate, no ifs, ands, or buts, me. But out of the cast, it's definitely Julian works. Julian works.
Julian actually plays golf, and he's pretty good.
Yeah, because he had 7 months of preparation prior to shooting the movie. So
I'd have to check the spreadsheet to see how many VFX shots I had to do for each one of you guys.
Oh no!
Don't
do
that. Most excellent. And one last thing, as Gregory brought it up at the beginning of the interview, the themes about segregation and discrimination. I mean, that is something that's that's talked about in this film, even though it's the 1950s. But even 60 years later, it almost seems like it's still hovering around in its own way. Do you guys agree?
Yeah, for sure. And you can kind of, point to the past and reflect on the current situation. Obviously things have improved in some aspects it hasn't, but what's most important is that, these people paved the way for so many other golfers of color and, within their own communities, and have had that effect. And now hopefully through our medium of entertainment, we're able to reach a bigger audience and kind of put that in their minds as well, which I think is really important and powerful.
Yeah, and I also think when you look back at something like the 50s, it's also important to acknowledge that we still have a lot of challenges, but things are tremendously better. Any of us can go now to golf at almost any club and things. And so I think it's also important that a movie like this also gives a sense of appreciation of the struggles of the people who came before us, and a sense of gratitude, that there are people that open doors for us, and we kind of have an obligation to do the same for people that come after us.
Most excellent. Well, all of you, congratulations on the long game. Thank you for carrying the conversation with us, and please do have fun at South by Southwest soon. I mean, that is terrific, and it's a fitting movie, Texas movie in Texas, a Texas festival, I will have to say.
Thanks so much, Gabe. We appreciate it.
Thank you.